It is an interesting, yeah. I mean, it's huge. It's rivalry week, Michigan State. A huge game as far as that rivalry goes, but an interesting point spread as far as the game goes. So I'm looking at. I think this might be on M Live, but the point spread is Michigan is a base 22.5 point favorite in that game. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, on paper, um, Michigan should, be a couple touchdown difference versus Michigan State. Fact of the matter is, Michigan State has not been a good football team this year. They've have had problems, you know, on their off with their offense. I mean, Peyton Thorne has not been as consistent as he was last year. Part of that being, Jalen Reed, not being available early in the year, who's his favorite target. So they've kind of it's taken a while kind of get their offense, in order. Of course, losing Kenneth Walker III, who was the catalyst of their offense, and you see what he's done in the NFL thus far. He's really hit the ground running, no pun intended, in the NFL as well. So I mean,
Did you really
you
just throw
know,
that out there?
right. So I mean, they had to adjust an offense, and they've been trying to find their way. But the biggest thing has been their defense. I mean, their defense has been one of the worst in the country, especially their secondary, which was their Achilles heel last year. On the flip side, for Michigan, Michigan is clicking on all cylinders. Our offense is, is going pretty well. We got the probably, if not the best, or definitely top two run it back tandem in the country with Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards. We have a dynamic young quarterback uh, and why am I drawing a blank? JJ, sorry, JJ McCarthy. Um,
Are you
no, because sometimes
okay?
no, sometimes it's funny, man. Like I get McCaffrey, McCarthy mixed up in my mind. Like Dylan McCaffrey, like I know the difference, but it's like they're so close that McCaffrey part
I
kind of
feel
throws
like
me
if
off.
there's one person on the team that you would not forget their names, it's the
Well,
five
normally I
star
say
quarterback.
JJ. Normally I say JJ, but I was afraid I was going to say McCaffrey, so that's why I paused a little bit. But JJ, and defensively, we've had guys step up throughout the year, to really assert themselves as being difference makers. Guys like Oki, Mike Moore is taking a step forward. So, Moulton on secondary, DJ Turner, Carlson at the linebacker position. You're just seeing guys everywhere stepping up and improving throughout the season. So Michigan's playing their best ball as of now, going to the bye week, and MSU really was kind of limping into the bye week. They got through and survived a overtime game against Wisconsin, but Wisconsin's not a good football team either. So kind of hard to get a good gauge on has MSU truly fixed some of their issues. I mean, they did give up 28 points to a Wisconsin offense that's not really good at all. Graham Mertz, who's a turnover machine. So maybe they really didn't change much at all. We'll find out on Saturday. But to the point of the point spread, I kind of want to give the context of what I'm about to say. Despite all those things, look, this is a very hated rivalry. And no matter what team, both teams tend to play up. Typical years when Michigan's down. There's been when Michigan was down under Rich Rod and Brady Hawk. I mean, definitely state tickets to Michigan a couple of times, but for the most part, Michigan shows up to play, and state does as well, no matter what their records are. I remember in 2016 where Michigan was having a great season. If you guys recall, that was the season where Michigan went in, I think, with one loss versus Ohio State, right? And they lost an overtime game. Ohio State, I think it was 1 versus 3 or 2 versus 3, if I'm not mistaken. And Ohio State ended up going to the college football playoff, and Michigan, I think, finished with a 10-2, 11-2 season. But either way, my point is that MSU was terrible that year. That's when they had Tyler O'Connor, and we thought that Michigan would go in there and destroy them. It was only like a 16-7 point win. If you remember, that those extra 2 points was like a late last minute 2 point conversion that the Real Peppers ran back the other way. But that was a close game from a scoring standpoint, final score standpoint. So you just never know, man. I actually, if I was to, I will bet the under. I will bet MSU to cover the spread. Is what I'm trying to say. And I think they're going to show up to play, but I think it's going to be one of those games where MSU may have that initial jolt of energy, if you will, to start the game. But Michigan will just kind of wear them out, and I think they will probably win by 14 points or so.